Welcome back to another fantastic edition of Front of House, the stereo music podcast that is changing the way you listen to podcasts. That's right, you got two ears, my friends, and this one is broadcast in stereo, so we put both of them to work. Today we're wrapping up this season of Front of House. If you've been with us for the last 10 weeks, you know that every single show we've been playing a song from the new record from Roses and Cigarettes. It's called Echoes in Silence. We've gone through the whole album. And as I mentioned before, this season of Front of House dedicated to Jenny Pagliaro. Jenny lost her battle to cancer some months back, but she lives in our hearts and she lives on this record. So today, what we're doing is we're going to be joined by Angela Petrilli, guitarist for Roses and Cigarettes, and Mike Lyons, who not only played bass on the record and one small acoustic part, but he also produced the whole thing. We're going to sit, we're going to talk, it's going to be cathartic, we're going to listen to some music from the album Echoes in Silence, and we're going to talk to Angela and Michael about Jenny and about music and about healing. And it's a very cathartic episode of Front of House, and apologies in advance for the tears, but get ready because we're going to go deep. Before we get there, I want to thank Rode Microphones, I want to thank JBL, and I want to thank you for listening to this podcast. I try to turn you on to great music every single week with some bonus tracks. This week, I've chosen a track from a wonderful singer-songwriter. Her name is Anne McHugh. If you've never heard of her, you're in for a treat, because I'd be stoked if I was listening to this song for the very first time in my life. Here's Anne McHugh and Stupid Front of House.
Leonard said there are no institutions. There's nothing to believe in anymore. The time of the flood is almost here. The end of the world is drawing near. Stupid on a lonely afternoon. I almost gave up on my life too soon. Reckless at the lonely close of day. I almost listened to what the prophets had to say. And I'm gonna write a Bob Dylan song. I'll sing all day, but it won't take long. Well, I never worked in a factory, but I surfed your ship and shoveled your debris. Stupid on a lonely afternoon. I almost gave up on my life too soon. Reckless at the lonely close of day. I almost listened to what the prophets had to say. And I feel the light come shining down on me, and it's full of solar energy. There is no greater power. No man-made God could ever be. No man ever be. Stupid on a lonely afternoon. I almost gave up on my life too soon. Reckless at the lonely close of day. I almost listened to what the prophets had to say. Stupid on a lonely afternoon. I almost gave in to the voice of doom. Reckless at the lonely close of day. I almost listened to what the prophets had to say.
I pulled that off of a Sin City compilation record. Hats off to Shyla Morrow for the whole Sin City thing and introducing me to all of these great artists. All right, quick reminder, you need to listen to the show in stereo. So either play it in your car or on a good pair of headphones. This is not a mono program, my friends. This is music, and it should be enjoyed in stereo. Let's go front of house to the North Hollywood Hideout with Angela Petrilli and Mike Lyons. And this very special season closer of Front of House. Good evening and welcome back to another fantastic in-stereo edition of Front of House, the stereo music podcast that's blowing your damn doors off, my friends. My name is Mike Dawson. Our guest today at the North Hollywood Hideout from the band Roses and Cigarettes, Angela Petrilli on guitar, producer Michael Lyons on the bass. Take it away, guys. Welcome. Jesus Christ, that was awesome. The song is called Echoes in Silence, the instrumental version, and the title track from the latest record from Roses and Cigarettes. Angela Petrilli, Michael Lyons, welcome to the North Hollywood Hideout. Happy to have you here.
Thanks for having us.
Happy to be here.
We should just kind of get right out in front of this and just let everybody who's listening know that there's going to be no singer tonight.
She's on our shoulder, someplace. She's still with us, but it would have been nice to have us sitting in the middle right there, right?
Yeah, I would. It's Jesus. I was going to say that the first one to cry has to take a shot, and I think I lost.
I think it's going to be you.
My God. We lost Jenny Pagliaro to a badass fight to cancer. She fought hard. And the great thing about this record is she's there on a stereo pair anytime we need her.
Yeah. It's a gift. It's a gift.
Yeah, she it's her it's her legacy. She as far as a songwriter and all that sort of thing, performer, everything like that, you can tell in the record. She grew from the first time we ever started working together, and I'm proud of the result of what she accomplished through the record. Mm-hmm. I wish she could be here a little longer to experience the
of course,
performing and all that sort of thing.
But it certainly is a swan song, and I guess you could say, I mean, I've almost burned a hole in this copy.
That's why we made it.
And I can tell you that all of you played phenomenally on this record. It's really a masterpiece. Jenny certainly left it all at the studio.
She left her soul on that record.
Yeah, there were days where if she was so sick, she'd be literally 2 takes and lay on her back, and I'd look over my shoulder and I'd be like, "You want to do another one?" She'd crawl back up and lean against the thing. It was like a battle, but she gave it every minute she could, and even times when you're doing takes and it's like you're just not getting what you need, she'd just try to keep going, and then you'd have to be like, all right, let's come back another day and we'll get this thing next time. When you feel it. It's hard when she was that sick, literally.
Well, as far as getting all of the right pieces together for an incredible performance on the record, I'm not sure how many, takes maybe you had to split up. I don't know how much, if there was the comping of vocals. For those of you who don't know, comping of vocals is where you sang this part really good in take 2, but we're going to use most of take 1. We're going to take 2 here. And just in this one part, you hit this note really well in take 5, but we're only going to use half of it. So that's comping vocals. You just piece a puzzle together. It doesn't sound to me like anything's comped here. Am I correct?
No, it's all comped.
There you go.
So
I'm going to edit that. And say,
sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm just kidding. No, I often look stupid on my own show.
No.
So you did a great job.
Well, thanks. But it comes down to just putting in a microphone and getting that performance.
Right.
So that's 75% of the work. The easy work is getting behind Pro Tools and going, okay, like you said, she just hit this note that's outstanding, and I wish it was in that second take or whatever it was. But some songs, you record, and I would take almost a whole track, and I couldn't tell you right now without looking at the tracking how I did it. But I can tell you this love song probably took us like 3 days, and we sang it hundreds of different ways.
With a cricket in the room,
Yes.
too.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
So that was always
Bane
helpful.
of studio existence.
And Jenny, she refused to have us kill it.
I was like, we need to get rid of the cricket
So
because
she's-
you're getting a good take. And, that
And
thing's
she's singing, and it's beautiful. And then you hear, "Geek, geek, geek, geek."
you could actually see it on the actual, the sound wave in Pro Tools. You can see
You
it.
can see that.
Yeah, the little.
And if I blew it up, you saw the
Transient.
the whole way is
Oh, man. So, did you, of course, when you isolate the vocals, you can hear a cricket behind it if it was there.
or if she's
there's
not-
a chance. There's a buried cricket. There's an Easter egg on this record.
there's the Buddy Holly cricket I call it.
Nice, nice.
But sometimes he's in there. Other times she's hitting because she sang loud. She was a loud singer.
Mm-hmm.
So she's hitting so loud that even if he was dancing away in back of her, it wasn't coming through. It was just in the quiet parts. Or if she would take a breath, because I like to keep a lot of the breath kind of that, organic type of thing happening.
breathing is singing. Breathing is a part of singing. So,
Right.
yes.
Yeah. So, but in those type of pots, though, you'd have like she's breathing and so is in the cricket. So it's like, oh no, and that you don't comp. You don't usually comp a breath. So that would be okay. We're cutting that. If it was a real good take, I'd have to kind of try to work around it.
And if he got in there, I mean, Zeppelin had squeaky drums.
Yeah.
So if a cricket got on Echoes in Silence,
Yeah. Well, it's just a matter of how you get from A to B, and B, in this case, is a phenomenal record. So somewhere between A and B, there's a cricket, and God bless Texas,
Yep. It was interesting, and when you do a record like this, it's guerrilla warfare. I mean, the girls, they'd have to work, gig, get some money up to pay other musicians and all that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you don't have the luxury of just sitting in, A&M Records and we got this blocked out for a month. Let's record a record.
yeah, and God.
So you didn't do this in Frank's room at Capitol?
No, we didn't. It was booked.
Right.
So,
I'm sorry to interrupt. Go on.
It's cool. Yeah, and it was August where we had we did cello, violin, and keys, I think in a matter of 4 days. Because that was the only time we could book them, and just to have them all in, it's like, all right, track, and just get them in and get it done. And yeah.
It was funny because we had, the musicians were great on the record, but we had different things where maybe they would get a scratch track thrown at them, so they know a chord arrangement or whatever it is, but they don't know. I kind of have an idea what we're going for, but they don't know what they're going to be doing, and we don't know what they're going to be doing. And next thing you know, you're all of a sudden tracking, and that's it. Away you go. Geronimo. You got to try to get the track you need, and you're limited.
Well, all right. That's a good place to hear another song. Let's hear another selection from Echoes in Silence. The band Roses and Cigarettes, rosesandzigarettes.com. You can get the record there. I highly recommend it. What do you guys want to play?
Let's do California Going Home.
All right. Let's see if I remember it.
The song is called California Going Home, from Roses and Cigarettes, Echoes in Silence. I have a soft space in my heart for songs about California.
Yeah. Good stuff. We that was the last song that was written for the record. And we were sitting in her living room and we were talking as the two of us. And it's just like, man, we need one more like rockin' sing-along. Because we didn't really have a sing-along.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I swear to God, it might have even been this guitar actually. And my hands, I don't know what happened, but that riff, and it was originally in G. And it just kind of came out, at least most of it, because right before we did drum tracking, the four of us really tweaked it. But that riff just kind of came out, and we both looked at each other, and it's like, get a pen, and grab the phone. We're recording this now. And yeah, it came out. It was great. And then Jenny's like, I think I have some lyrics, because she had written some stuff before, and it was about California.
Cool.
And she goes, hold on, because it was another song idea we were kind of tooling around with, never really went anywhere. But I remember the lyrics are really cool, and she brought those back. And she's like, okay, what do you think of this? And then we started working on it. I think I still even have the beginning ideas of all of it, too. It's really cool. And yeah, that's how that one started. And then, you know, we brought it with Mike, and we're like, okay, we have one more. So I don't know.
We
From
got
your
one more with
perspective,
5,000 verses, 200 choruses.
Yeah.
Like, all right, let's make this a song.
Well, one of the great things about that song, and Angela, you mentioned a sing-along.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got a very, very strong na 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 na.
Right.
Na.
you know, and it's
Very
catchy.
great use of the na 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 nas.
Oh yeah.
You know, when Sting does it, it just means he ran out of lyrics.
Yeah.
You know?
I think we were going more for the Van Morrison vibe.
Yeah.
In that.
It was very Allman Brothers too. We
Nice,
came in and
yeah.
was like, okay, like Allman Brothers and like a John Marish, you know.
Right. They get John
Sorry.
Mayer. I'm old, so I was like, Van Morrison. So.
You
Van
and me,
Morrison,
Mike,
good too.
we're both on the Van Morrison tip on that one. But it's like glad tidings almost, you know.
Yeah, because you know, and originally that was going to close the album.
Mm-hmm.
Was that track, you know, and then with the jamming in the back, okay, with the pedal steel coming in and the keys and, you know, electric guitars and all that stuff. And that was going to close out the album. And we ended up changing our minds when it was in mixing that we had swapped out with the, you know, and now the final track listing. But yeah, I think it's a good penultimate. We were pretty happy with that. And
For sure. But I mean, we could have kept the jam going and going.
Yeah.
But I think at some point I was like, all right,
It's like,
we could edit this.
enough,
if we're gonna
Jerry.
fit it on
Okay,
the
we're
thing.
good.
You know, speaking of that, Mike, you just reminded me of something. You guys did something on this record. You brought something back that
Okay. Oh,
has
I know what
been
he's
missing from rock and roll since the late 70s. And I'm talking about
The fade out,
the
man.
fade out.
Fade
The
out.
fade out.
That's what happens when you.
Everybody has cold endings now.
Uh-huh.
You guys actually faded out. Like, what, 2 tracks on this? There's at least one that fades
California
out.
fades. Or no.
No,
California does not fade out.
that's a cold out.
Love song.
But it's
Loves, yeah.
yeah.
That was the thing is we could have faded California, and I was like, okay, we can't do every song as a fade out
Right.
at that point. But when you grow up listening to AM radio in the 70s, there's fade outs, and it's like, I mean, you know,
Nobody does the fade out anymore.
it's.
It was fun.
I think that's great.
I'm so glad we did it. Yeah, we're sitting there at Ryan Lippman's studio, and it took us a good while to find out, okay, here's the spot where the fade's going to go.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
He did that for us. I mean,
It's a science.
It runs
It
longer,
really
but we were
is.
like trying to fit. You know, we were picking, and I was like, "Listen, Ryan, let's. I want to fade this out." And he just, you know, he's a great engineer, great mixing
Awesome.
engineer.
God.
You know, that was fun.
Man, that's cool. So, Angela, you did mention that you were going to end the record with California Going Home.
Yes.
And then you used $100 word,
Okay.
Pentultimate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Penultimate.
Penultimate.
Yeah.
I just learned.
I watch
what
a
that
lot of
meant,
Jeopardy.
like, a couple of weeks ago. I didn't know it meant the second place.
That's
or
I
whatever.
went to UCLA. My parents, if you're watching.
She's a very
Your money
learned
went to
soul.
good use. I
There
used
you
the
go.
word penultimate.
You know what I did? My parents threw a graduation party with me after UCSB.
He's opening the fridge. He's grabbing
Is
an
there a beer over
IPA.
there?
I walked up to my dad. I did this actually with my ring, but my ring is busted, so I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I walked up to my dad as he is, kind of glowing and being like, "My son graduated from UC. Hey, Dad, you want to see what 40 grand got you?" And I crack a beer open with my ring and hand it to him and walk away, and his face just drops in front of his friends like, "Oh, Jesus fucking Christ." But you did say that you were going to close the record with it. I think one of the most phenomenal tracks on this record is the closing record.
Thank you.
This is some deep and dark shit. And when I say dark, I'm referring to the dark arts of
Yes.
music production.
Oh, yes.
There is a part in this song where a vocal reverb fades away and is replaced by a fiddle. And it's just seamless.
I remember that moment in the studio.
Were you guys sitting there in there on the mix session going, "Oh shit, this is awesome"?
Well, how it actually came about is we recorded the record, the basic tracks, so to say, like at the Delta's studio. They have this studio. It since then burnt down in the fires in Malibu.
Oh, Malibu.
Yes.
Yeah,
Shangri-La made it through.
Yeah.
but
Shangri-La
this one
made it.
didn't.
These
Yeah.
guys had this big. What the heck's that thing called?
It's a yurt.
A yurt.
Oh,
big
you told
old
me
yurt,
about this.
dude.
Yeah.
Dude.
So that was the drum room, and then we went in and we recorded. Well, when I'm producing, I had Ange and the drummer Vic. They were in the drum room, Ange's playing guitar and the whole bit. I was in the control room with the engineers playing bass, and I had Jenny in the control room. And how we'd normally do it is we'd run a track with Jenny singing the arrangement, and then she was done. Okay, you're done. We're gonna play to that, because usually the first thing she would do was it was gold, and it brought us through the track and that sort of thing. So when she was singing it, though, she ran out of breath in the last. She was doing those whoos, the eerie whoos you're talking about.
Yeah.
She actually ran out of breath, and I was in with her. Nobody else saw it, and I saw her just. She didn't have it to go, but right when she sang that, the light lyric was right then, and I said, "That's gonna stay forever. That's the way it is." I had her overdub every single vocal, but that part stayed without the ooze coming in, because I saw it happen in the studio, and it was like eerie to me, and it was special. Of course, we had, like you said, the violin comes in, there's a mellotron on it, and that sort of thing, and but it always made it that much special to me, because that was the reality of what was happening, and it was a fingerprint from her, and it's on the track. So it's interesting that you noticed it. I wouldn't think anybody would ever notice it.
Well, it's one of the things about that song that, I mean, like, they're all my favorite. I love every song on this record, but if you told me to pick my favorite, I'd probably rattle off 5 songs, but still, Whispers in the Wind, parenthetically Stacy's song, which I need you to explain, but Whispers in the Wind is, I don't think there is a better closing song on any record I've heard, except for maybe In the End or something like that,
Yeah.
Thank
you. That to me was her. That was. I thought that was the best piece of work that we had done, all of us together, and I'll tell you, I'm proud of that one for sure.
Think you can play it? I would love to hear it.
Yeah, we can do that.
Let's do it.
We can do that. I gotta change
you go
the
ahead
tuning.
and tune. I'll let everybody know.
It's in
Angela Petrilli from Roses and Cigarettes is here. Michael Lyons produced the record and played bass throughout, and other instruments, right? What else did you play on this?
No.
Just bass?
Bass and I think a little acoustic guitar, maybe a little here and there I would patch in some acoustics.
Okay. So for those of you keeping score, this is 2 times I was wrong in my own show.
No, I mean, I think
there
I
ain't no
opened up
shame in my game, though,
one acoustic part that
Okay.
Ange didn't do on there that we needed to get done, and I couldn't get it done unless I did it to get it the
What
record.
was it?
I gotta go back and listen to it. There is an acoustic thing on there I just did real quick.
All right. From Roses and Cigarettes, Angela Petrilli with Michael Lyons. And you are front of house. Whispers in the Wind, the name of that song. Parenthetically, Stacy's song, and I realized while you were playing it, when it's featured on the record, there's so much going on. Yeah. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. But I'm hearing hints of Melissa.
Yes.
In there, but then it's Stacy's song. Why is it Stacy's song? Tell me.
So I'm a huge Zeppelin fan. Mike is too. The Rain song is my favorite Zeppelin song ever. And I remember the first time I ever heard that song, I go, God, if I could write a song half as good as that, I'll be happy the rest of my life. So that was in my head writing this. I love writing in open tuning. So that particular song is an open G. And instead of leaving that big E string down to D, I actually bring it up to G. So it's this double G thing that's happening there. In Daughter, Pearl Jam, they do the same tuning. Okay. They have that double G. I'd written the riff. I was at a session and I played it, and the guy's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "That's going to be a Roses and Cigarettes song. Back off."
Yeah.
Like that. I'm like, that's ours. That's ours. Came up with the rest of the chords pretty quick and sent it to Jenny. And that was something we always did. I would send her, a piece of music. Hey, if this at all inspires you, by all means, please write on it. And if it doesn't inspire you, I won't be insulted. That was always a very understood thing between the two of us. Sure. Because she's the storyteller at the end of the day. And if you're not inspired by the music that you're going to be singing to, then what's the point? It has to touch her in some way. So that's how I'd always approach it. And I sent her that. And she's like, "It's beautiful. I'm going to come up with something." Forget how long it was. It wasn't too much longer. And she came to me with that. And it's just like, whoa, okay, that's beautiful. And then, so why it's called Stacy's song is a good friend of, you, Mike, too. And Jenny and a bunch of us. Our friend Stacy, she was diagnosed with cancer as well and lost her life to it as well. And so we wrote it for her. And yeah, it's again, I mean, the lyrics speak for themselves here.
Yeah.
So we had that, and, Jenny and I were talking, it's like, okay, we need a bridge. We need like a beautiful bridge. And, we both wanted it to be instrumental. There were going to be no words in the bridge. It had taken me a very long time to write the bridge. I'd come up with things, it didn't work, it didn't fit. Just going back and forth. Jenny's like, "Ange, we need the bridge. We're going into the studio soon, and I'm gonna need you to get us that bridge." And I'm like, no. Like, I'll get there. I'm a stickler with things, and I knew with that song it had to be approached very delicately. Not only because of the subject matter, something very close to all of us, but I knew the story and what was being told and the emotion that was in it, and needed to be respected on my end as the instrumentalist in that section of the song. And I was sitting at home one night, and I'm like, okay, because I take a lot of cues from Jenny, and a lot of her lyrics since we started playing together. And I'm all right, for what I'd give for one more with you, okay? And I took that to heart, and I thought of the people that I've lost in my life and of Stacy, and okay, for what I'd give for one more with you, what would that sound like? So that's where the bridge idea came from, okay? So what happens is the key raises, goes to A. And because the original, it starts in G, that bridge part. Right? So it goes into this raising of a key. And you're in this moment, and it's beautiful. And Mike just did such an awesome job with just all the instrumentation and just the way that it was beautiful. It was beautiful. So that's what that bridge is for what I'd give for one more with you. And you have that moment with someone who has passed away. But it's just a moment. And then it goes away. So then the key goes back to G. We're not going to stay in A. We're going back because that moment. It's gone. So that's the bridge. And then I gave it to Jenny, and she's like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. Worth the wait. I'm like, thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
You know, I go into this deep philosophical, this is what the bridge is.
That,
You
as
know.
far as that part of the song goes, I mean, the what I'd give for one more with you.
That was the jumping
is
off
fucking
point.
strong.
One of our strongest, I thought she wrote, Jenny. But it was all, you know, her and Stacy worked together for years. We were all real good friends and all that stuff. But she said she was, from what I understood, she was sitting on the beach one day and she felt the breeze come and she started coming up with these lyrics. And that was what the whispers in the wind were. Stacy talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
It really, I mean, that's how she told me. Because I was like, when the two of them sat down in the garage, I was like, what the hell is this? You kidding me? This is great. Let's go. I stuck a mic between the two of them, and they did it, like, you know, just acoustic kind of, the two of them singing together how you would, just to get a demo, get it ready. Then we tore it apart. Ange came with me at that bridge. I was like, okay, let's we get something here. We can really build on this thing. So it was interesting because, you know, when I'm doing the record with them, I said, what do you guys want your record? What do you want from this record? I said, and it's a simple thing. Let's write down 6, 7 artists, 10 songs, anything you want that would give me kind of what you're feeling for this record. Rain Song was one of them. And the two of them wrote down a bunch of different artists, songs, blah, blah, you know. And it wasn't a particular song. They just wrote down artists and what songs. I guessed that was the Rain Song right in 2 seconds because I could hear, you know, where Andrew was trying to pull it. And I was thinking Taxi. I want a Taxi by those weird string arrangements Harry Chapman did at the beginning. I was like, that tension. So that was I already had the Rain Song in my head, but I was thinking, how do I counteract the Rain Song to be what it is? And that's what happened. Right?
Wow.
Just happened, you know?
And that's, you know, it's just sometimes just happens. It's a beautiful song. It's a great
Thank you.
album closer.
Thank you.
The name of the record, again, Echoes in Silence. But if you have been listening to this podcast for the last 10 weeks, you already know that because we've been through the whole blessed thing. And God bless America. And Jenny, we love you.
Yeah.
Let's talk about one of the most badass guitar licks I've heard on a record in a long time. Now, when you guys first gave me the record,
Yeah.
I stuck it in my truck and I was listening for a couple of solid months. That was all I listened to anytime I drove. But about 5 days into it, Angela texted me and said, so, what do you think? What's your favorite track? And the track that totally fucking spoke to me, and it was because of the dirty guitar lick, was Bones on the Ground. And first of all, I imagine, Angela, that you have several licks in that kind of category of that caliber that you're just holding on to for a long time. Why did the Bones on the Ground lick come out, and how long were you holding on to that?
You say that, my friend. Funny you say that. That riff was written before album 1.
Oh, wow.
It was written before album 1.
Oh, you've been holding that for a while then.
And I knew, I remember playing it one night. I'm like, oh shit, like this is good. That's gonna be a Roses and Cigarettes song. like I knew it, but it was a matter of getting it to where, like it needed a family of chords.
Mm-hmm.
It needed a family of chords. It's just that riff, and I mean, and it holds the verse and all that. But I'm like, damn, it took that long. So 2014, it took 5 years, 4.5 years to get it to.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a tune. So I had that riff for a long time, and I went over to Jenny's and I presented it to her, and I'm like, hey, what do you think of this? She's like, oh yeah, it's rocking. Okay, cool. And we were kind of jamming on it. Didn't really, again, it was a tough one. Couldn't get it to fit. And, we're like, okay, we put it on the back burner. we're going to do something with this, just not today. Because whenever we got really, really frustrated, we would just walk away and stop.
Smart.
If a song was getting like too much, and then we're overthinking, and it's like, no, let's go and like, make dinner or whatever, do something, whatever. So fast forward, I wake up one morning, I check my phone, Chris Cornell has died. And I was a wreck the whole day. I was a wreck. I'm a huge fan of all of his work. He's just been an inspiring artist to me and was just a wreck. And I remember texting with Jenny, and she's like, do you want to come over and write some songs? And I'm like, yeah, I would actually really like to do that today. I was a mess. I'm like, yeah, that sounds good. And I was driving over there, and I was talking to him like, Chris, help me write a song today. Help me write a song today. And showed up to her house, and that thing, it poured right out. The song poured right out.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm like, Chris, I need your help, buddy. So every time we play it, I'd always think of him. Like, okay, Chris Cornell, help me with this one.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You want to play it?
Yeah.
I want to hear it.
I'm gonna retune this bad boy.
Angela Petrilli from Roses and Cigarettes. Michael Lyons played bass and produced the record. In the next episode, Mike, you and I are going to get into the dark arts of production.
Well, as you can hear the stories coming out so far,
I
you
love the
understand where the
story.
darkness is coming from. There's a lot of death in that.
You know,
Not the lava,
I
but
think-
do you know
think-
what I mean? You just
yeah.
pull from it.
I think pain makes better music than ecstasy. For Jenny Pagliaro, this is Front of House with Angela Petrilli and Michael Lyons. Let's hear that lick. Let's hear Bones on the Ground. It's all for Jenny Pagliaro. This is Front of House, live in Los Angeles at the North Hollywood Hideout. Angela Petrilli and Michael Lyons. That's part one of the interview with Angela and Mike. We're going to give you part two next Monday. And then the following Tuesday, we'll show you the video on Front of House Live, which you can see on YouTube. To get there, follow us on the Twitter at FOH Pod. You can follow me there at Dos Angeles. I'll be telling you all about it when it happens. Thank you for listening to this podcast. Thanks so much to Angela and Mike for joining me here in the studio. You know, there were parts of that podcast where it was really tough to record and at times just as tough to listen to. But definitely good for the soul. Jenny, we miss you. We love you. And we thank you for your music. Remember to pick up the record Echoes and Silence at Roses and Cigarettes website, rosesandcigarettes.com. Bonus track to break the mood today. It's the Snake Handlers. This one's called People Who Died. Enjoy it.
Teddy sniffing glue is 12 years old. Fell from the roof on East 29. Kathy was 11 when she pulled the plug on 26 Reds and a bottle of wine. Bobby got leukemia, 14 years old. He looked like 65 when he died. He was a friend of mine. Cheeseburger and Georgia let the chemists go riding, so they died of hepatitis in Upper Manhattan. Sly in Vietnam took a bullet in the head. Bobby OD'd on Drano on the night that he was with him. There were two more friends of mine. Friends that died. Those are people who 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 died. They were all my friends. They died. Johnny Baba June got a home, you see. Grandma said, "Oh, I'm Joshua Tree." Paycheck cash at the end of a slide, and Hank took a long white Cadillac ride. They were all heroes of mine. I miss them. They died. Come on. Those are people who died. 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 They were all my friends, and they died. Take it easy, easy. Brian got busted on a narco rap. Well, they beat that rap by riding on some bikers. He said, "I know it's dangerous, man, but it sure beats Rikers." Next day, he got off by the very same bikers. Come on, those are people who died. 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 They were all my friends, and they died. Kill 'em, Brian. Fell from the roof on East 29. Kathy was 11 when she pulled the plug on 26 Reds and a bottle of wine. Bobby got leukemia, 14 years old. He looked like 65, man. Those are people who died. 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 They were all my friends, all my friends, all my friends who died. Those are people 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 who died. They were all my friends. They died.
Bryson Jones and the Snake Handlers doing People Who Died. That's a cover of the great Jim Carroll song, but done so well by Bryson Jones and the Snake Handlers. If you like the podcast, please tell a friend about it. This is Front of House, and we'd love you to rate it and to give it a positive thumbs up. Tell all your friends about it, and if you really love it, consider becoming a Patreon member. You get songs emailed to your inbox and special invites to private functions. Just go to patreon.com/frontofhouse. I'm Mike Dawson. Until next week, you know what you got to do. Go see a live show. Go pay a cover charge. Go support a band. Maybe go find your new favorite band. Hopefully you live in a place where there is live music. Get out there, my brothers and sisters, and be good to each other. We'll be back next Monday with part 2 with Angela Petrilli and Mike Lyons from Roses and Cigarettes, Front of House.